So Objectif is the name of a card game that I created, and it's basically played similar to apples, and that you have one person judging, and the other players are competing to appease the judge, whatever the judge's perspective is for that round. And so what happens is there is a collection of cards that are made up entirely of female portraits, which I illustrated. And the players get portraits into their hand, and they try to select the most attractive woman to play for the judge of that round. And then the judge will select the most attractive woman, but they have to justify their choice. And so that opens up a dialogue, and people can sort of argue and say, well, why did you pick her? Or I don't agree with that, or this one's better for this other reason. Around that same time, I had been reading various articles online, and I came across one that was called Why Are Black Women Less Physically Attractive Than Other Races? This guy got a PhD in sort of all of the credentials, and this authoritative scientific voice gave a list of all of these reasons why he felt black women are considered less attractive. The fact that this sort of reputable journal was using scientific data to sort of justify his beliefs, I thought that was really problematic, because that voice has a kind of power and authority and credibility that are going to make people feel like it's fact. Initially, when I started playing it here in undergrad, people were mostly defensive, and no one wants to expose themselves in this way and look like a bad person. But I had a vastly different experience when I went to Paris. So I recently was invited to exhibit this at the Cité in Paris, and it was an event called iGamer, and they were mostly focusing on educational games. And they weren't looking at games from an artistic context, but more from a teaching and also scientific context, where maybe there's research around these games. And the event itself, as far as how I felt once I was there, it was really a relief. And I say that because I was really nervous, and I had already sort of felt like maybe my game wasn't the right fit, because it was okay, this very serious scientific and academic institution, and people weren't defensive. I could sit down and play these games even with me present, and people were very honest about their choices, very open to discussing what they found beautiful and why. And so for that to be validated by someone who's not coming from a creative field but still sees that it's useful and thinks that it can make a serious difference, that makes me feel great. So I think that that's a happy success. So when I first created the game, for the longest time, this was my favorite card. Yeah. Not conventional, but she has these features that wouldn't be considered attractive. She's bigger than the other women in the card.